Okay, gang, we're going to continue with our classification lecture. I left off earlier just mentioning that Carolus Linnaeus had in the 1700s developed a very unique system and a universal system for classifying all living things. It's the system we still use today. It's a system based on the Latin language. It involves two names, hence the name binomial nomenclature. First name is the genus, and the second name is the species. The genus is always capitalized, the species will be in lowercase. So every single organism is done in Latin, and hence it's a universal language that everyone can understand. So I gave you a couple of examples earlier today. If we wanted to do another, for instance, we could do the grizzly bear. So the grizzly bear can't be called a grizzly bear everywhere because everyone doesn't know what a grizzly bear means in their language. However, anyone who's attuned to science would be able to use the universal language of Latin, and Latin would give you the name for the grizzly bear as Ursa horribilis, which is a name that sort of matches its particular temperament. And remember what we said before, since I'm handwriting here without a stylus and using my finger, I'm just going to underline like so. Okay, and you'll notice that I capitalized in the first case over here with the U and had a small case H. So that would be the grizzly bear. Now, the next thing that Carolus Linnaeus did was he started to classify organisms from the most general classification down to the least specific classification. So, most specific classification. So, for instance, what you do is you start off by placing an organism in a kingdom. Okay, and we can give that a letter K like so. Then from a kingdom, we would go to a smaller grouping called a phylum, which I'll give the letter P to. And then we go to an order, give that an O. Then you go to a family, give that the letter F. Then the next one is going to be genus, which we know about from before. And lastly, we're going to have species. Okay, so we'll give that a G. And we'll give that a little letter S like so, because it's always that way. So King Philip came, whoops, I missed one in there. So let me go back here. Right in here, we should have had class. I apologize. And again, if I were doing this for real, I would clean this up. But that will be the letter C. So we get kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Okay, and there's a little saying you can use to do this. So the K would be King Philip came over for great spaghetti. Now there are other ways of doing that. That's just the one that I've used for so many years, so it's sort of easy to remember. So every single living organism is going to be named starting with a kingdom, which would be the most general and least specific, working your way down to the species, which would be the least general and the most specific. You'd have far more organisms in a kingdom than you would have in a species. So up here where I had Ursa horribilis, we were just using these two, the genus and the species, to be very specific. But when we name an organism completely, we use all of these classifications, and every single organism on Earth will have all of these classifications. Okay, so I'll stop there with this little mini lesson, and we'll speak again later. Thanks, everybody.